Welcome back to Coronation Daily episode. Have you ever watched a murder investigation become so messy, so chaotic, so unbelievably suspicious, that you start wondering whether the people solving the crime are actually making it worse? Because tonight, everything we thought we knew about Theo Silverton's murder has been turned upside down. A detective is making decisions that have divided the entire fandom. An innocent young woman is losing the will to fight. A missing phone has become the most important object in Weatherfield. And 4 suspects are now standing under a spotlight that is growing hotter by the second. But here's the terrifying part. The closer we get to the truth, the more it feels like somebody is desperately trying to hide it. And if that's true, then Theo's killer may be far more dangerous than anyone imagined. Let's get into it, because this mystery just exploded. 4 weeks now, Weatherfield has been living in the shadow of Theo Silverton. Even after death, his influence refuses to disappear. Every family has been touched by the fallout. Every relationship has been damaged. Every secret feels one step away from exposure. Theo wasn't simply a victim. He was a catalyst. A man who left behind emotional devastation wherever he went. Now, his murder investigation is tearing the street apart. But then everything changes. Because DS Lisa Swain makes one decision that sends shockwaves through the entire case. Danielle Silverton is officially ruled out. Just like that. Case closed. Or is it? Think about it for a moment. Danielle had motive. Danielle had history. Danielle suffered at Theo's hands. And yet suddenly we're being told she couldn't possibly be responsible. According to Lisa, dashcam footage proves Danielle left Weatherfield at exactly the right time. Her alibi checks out. End of story. But something about that feels wrong. Too neat. Too convenient. Too easy. Because soap fans know one thing better than anyone. The moment a suspect is ruled out with absolute certainty, you should probably start paying even closer attention to them. And that's what makes this development so unsettling. Is Danielle really innocent? Or is she simply hiding behind the perfect alibi? Because let's be honest, this wouldn't be the first time somebody manipulated evidence. And it certainly wouldn't be the first time investigators jumped to conclusions. What makes this even more complicated is Lisa herself. Because the deeper this case goes, the harder it becomes to ignore the obvious conflict of interest. Lisa isn't investigating strangers. She's investigating neighbors, friends, people she sees every day, people connected to the life she's built on the street. Imagine trying to remain objective under those circumstances. Imagine having to question people you share drinks with, people whose children know your children, people who exist inside your personal life. That's not just difficult, it's emotionally exhausting. Maybe, just maybe, that pressure is beginning to affect her judgment. Because there are moments when Lisa looks less like a detective, and more like a woman desperately trying to keep control of a situation that's slipping away from her. Meanwhile, another member of the police force is raising alarm bells of his own. Kit Green, the ultimate wild card. The ultimate loose cannon. Kit approaches investigations like a man who enjoys the power that comes with knowing everyone's secrets. And that's dangerous. Because power changes people. The more information Kit gathers, the more control he gains. And the more control he gains, the harder it becomes to trust his motives. Lisa wants justice. Kit seems fascinated by chaos. And those two approaches are eventually going to collide. When they do, the fallout could be explosive. But while detectives argue over evidence, Summer Spellman is paying the highest price of all. And honestly, this storyline is becoming heartbreaking. Because Summer has reached a place no innocent person should ever reach. She's stopped believing she can win. She's stopped believing anyone will save her. She's stopped believing the truth matters. Imagine how devastating that is. An innocent young woman sitting behind bars, watching the world move on without her. Listening to lawyers discuss her future as if guilt is already guaranteed. And eventually, something inside her breaks. She decides to plead guilty. Not because she committed murder, but because she no longer believes anyone will listen. That's the real tragedy. Not prison. Hopelessness. The destruction of hope itself. And things become even darker when Summer starts harming her own health. Switching off her insulin pump. Risking everything. Not because she wants attention. Not because she wants sympathy. But because prison has become psychologically unbearable. This isn't just a legal crisis anymore. It's a mental health crisis. She's trapped, terrified, alone. And every day she remains inside. The damage gets worse. The question is no longer whether Summer will be released. The question is what version of Summer will emerge when she finally is. Because trauma changes people. And prison changes people. Even innocent ones. But if Summer is suffering, then Tyrone Dobbs is drowning in guilt. Because Tyrone knows something. Something huge. Something potentially case-changing. He knows Summer is innocent. He knows she wasn't responsible. And yet, he's saying nothing. Why? Fear. Raw, overwhelming fear. Fear of exposing his own secrets. Fear of opening doors he'd rather keep locked. Fear of what happens when the truth finally comes out. Tyrone wants to see himself as a good man. But every day he stays silent. Another innocent girl suffers. And that's where the psychological conflict becomes fascinating. Because Tyrone isn't evil. He's weak. And sometimes weakness can be just as destructive. Then we arrive at perhaps the biggest mystery of all. The missing phone. The phone that should have been police evidence. The phone Todd believed authorities had secured. The phone nobody can account for. And honestly, because if Todd doesn't have it, and the police don't have it, then somebody else does. And that realization is terrifying. Whoever possesses that phone has access to secrets. Messages. Conversations. Evidence. Potential motives. Potential suspects. Potential answers. That phone isn't just an object anymore. It's a weapon. A digital ghost haunting everyone connected to Theo's death. And what if the person holding it isn't simply hiding evidence? What if they're protecting themselves? Or worse, what if they're keeping it as a trophy? Because that's a chilling possibility. A killer doesn't always destroy evidence. Sometimes they keep it. Sometimes they want a reminder. Sometimes they want control. And that possibility should send shivers down every viewer's spine. Todd Grimshaw remains at the center of this storm. And emotionally, nobody has suffered more from Theo's abuse. For over a year he lived under manipulation, control, fear, psychological warfare. Now Theo is gone. But the damage remains. You can see it in every confrontation. Every angry outburst. Every sarcastic comment directed at Lisa. Todd isn't acting like a guilty man. He's acting like a survivor who's finally reached breaking point. He's tired of being powerless. Tired of being doubted. Tired of watching other people control his life. But that anger is dangerous. Because to police officers, pain often looks exactly like guilt. And that puts Todd in a very dangerous position. Then there's Gary Windass. A man whose history follows him like a shadow. Gary knows better than anyone that secrets don't stay buried forever. Every time police get closer to the truth, his anxiety grows. Not necessarily because he killed Theo, but because investigations uncover things. And Gary has spent years creating things he'd rather nobody uncovered. Maria sees it. She notices the nervousness, the lies, the strange behavior, the late-night meetings, the tension. And once trust starts cracking inside a marriage, everything becomes vulnerable. Even if Gary is innocent, his secrets may destroy his life anyway. Then we have George Shuttleworth and Christina, the most emotionally devastating suspects of all. As unlike Gary, unlike Todd, they represent comfort, stability, family, which is exactly why they cannot be ignored. George would do absolutely anything to protect the people he loves. Anything. And that word should worry everyone. Because history has taught us one brutal lesson. Good people can do terrible things when they believe they're protecting family. If George crossed that line, it wouldn't be out of hatred. It would be out of love. And somehow, that possibility feels even more tragic. As we move toward the final reveal, one thing becomes clear. This isn't simply a murder mystery anymore. It's a story about guilt, about trauma, about fear, about what happens when ordinary people are pushed beyond their limits. Everyone is hiding something. Everyone is carrying emotional scars. Everyone has a reason to lie. And that's exactly why solving this case feels impossible. Because the truth isn't hiding in evidence. It's hiding inside people. But here's my prediction. The missing phone changes everything. Not because of what's on it, but because of who has it. That person is the key. That person connects every loose thread. And when their identity is revealed, the entire investigation could collapse overnight. The real killer may not be who we're looking at. The real story may be who has been manipulating events from the shadows. And if that's true, Weatherfield is about to experience one of the biggest shocks in years. Because somebody is lying. Somebody is panicking. And somebody knows exactly what happened to Theo Silverton. The only question is, who? If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the Theo murder mystery, make sure you subscribe to Coronation Daily episode and turn on notifications. Because trust me, the biggest twists are still ahead. Hit that like button if you think Summer deserves justice. And drop your theories in the comments. Because I genuinely think this mystery could go in several completely different directions. And I want to know what you think before the truth is finally revealed. Until next time, keep your eyes on the cobbles. Because Weatherfield's darkest secrets are only just beginning to emerge.